What is booming in Ecuador, right? What is booming in Ecuador? Well, I hate to say it like this. This sounds kind of, I mean, I'm not trying to make light of something, that isn't really a nice thing. But she changed. We ran into a friend. She's Ecuadorian.
We've known her for many years.
100% Ecuadorian. And she speaks English. She's been to the States. And they were robbed by 8 COVID masked men. Hello, welcome from Frank and Angie's channel, where we discuss the retire early lifestyle, whether it's at home or abroad. And I hope we can encourage you today to embrace the retire early lifestyle as soon as possible, whether it's at home or abroad. Thanks for coming to our channel. Business is booming in some parts of the world, but here in Ecuador, the economy's really down, and they do want to try to get tourism up, But there's some things they need to be doing in order to be able to do that. The thing is, we just left Poland just in time because, hey, winter's coming. The weather was really nice when we were there, and it's really nice here. But I was just looking over some of the words that I learned when we were in Poland. And it occurs to me that these are like the 10 words. You might want to know this. Like when you first land somewhere and you don't know the language, what were the 10 words that were really important to me? So here are the 10 words. Hello, of course. Dzień dobry, I won't say the translation in Polish. Hello and thank you are the first two. And then, excuse me, how far is? That's a tricky one because if they tell you in Polish, you won't really know what they're saying. So, do you sell? That's a yes or no answer. Yeah, do you sell avocados? Well, usually you're doing shopping and you're in the store, so you want to know, do you sell? How are you? How are you? Be nice to people. English. Do you speak English? Angielski. Angielsku. Goodbye. So hello, goodbye, It's funny because we learned, I was saying hello and then I'm like, okay, now what was the goodbye? Because you said hello, then you're leaving, you didn't say goodbye. What a rude person. Larger, yeah, I want a larger one, And grocery store, like you're walking down the street, don't know where the grocery store. You looked on Google Maps, but it's old and it's not really there anymore. And it's like, okay, grocery store, please. Which way? So those are the 10 words I thought, just looking back, it's like, wow, those are things that I, on the ground, wanted to know while I was there. And I was like, wow, I wish I knew how to say this word. And it took me like several days to figure out which ones were the words. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. But back to the economy, there are places in the world that aren't going full steam ahead. They're not putting these restrictions on people, these medical tyranny restrictions that a lot of places have now. And their tourism is booming. Unfortunately, Ecuador is not one of them. They did open up as far as the international flights, but that's as far as they went. They still are trying to impose a lot of these nonsensical things medical things on people that don't really need it, that are healthy and don't have any issues. So consequently, the Ecuadorians are really hurting. And this is, I don't mean any disrespect to people, because people, they're at different levels as far as what they know about health and masks and what they do and what they don't do and all that. So I won't get into that today. I made a different video, where I said, Ecuadorians don't even know, or do they know, how many of them know that people under 50 have practically zero chance of dying from COVID, and that the average age in Ecuador is like 26, so that means that most of them aren't going to be dying from COVID, but here they are walking around the street. Anyway, that was a different video I made, and I got a little flack from the locals, hey, you're so selfish. Do they think I'm under 50? I appreciate the compliment. I'm not under 50, I'm well over 50, so clearly I'm not selfish. I'm clearly not selfish. I'm putting the truth out there, and a lot of people aren't ready for the truth. They don't know what to do with it. So anyway, this video is about the economy and how hurting the Ecuadorians are. The Ecuadorian businesses, the tourism businesses are hurting. The prices are depressed here. And right now, and the people, the stores they're You know, the restaurants, you can see there's not very many people in them. And we were in a restaurant, and this wasn't a restaurant, we were in Guayaquil, and this is how Ecuadorians sound with a mask on. If you thought learning Spanish was challenging, this is like, that's what they sound like, right? And you're sitting in the restaurant, and she comes to the table, and she's like, and you're like, what? And she's like, and you say what 4 times? You go through this like 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Finally, she starts yelling through her mask, and I understood what she meant. Would you like some ají with that? You know, but it took 4 goes to figure it out, and there was nobody in the restaurant. So I'm just saying, you know, and she's like what, 20? She's probably in her 20s, okay? She has 0 chance of dying from COVID, okay? And I'm well over 50. Not by much though.
You're well
over 50.
Well.
Oh, I gave it away. Sorry. I gave it away. But anyway, as long as you're in good health, your age doesn't really matter. You know, look at the president of the US. He's got COVID, and hey, he didn't just survive it, he's thriving. But anyway, getting away from that, the restaurants don't have people in them, and you know, the economy's hurting here. The tourism industry in these places, some of these cities where they're not doing the insanity, like they still are here, you know, with the requirements, they're getting like 200 planes a day of tourists. So, you know, we came here, we've got family here, and so we have a good reason to be here. So what is booming in Ecuador, right? What is booming in Ecuador? Well, I hate to say it like this. This sounds kind of, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to make light of something, you know, that isn't really a nice thing, but
Just say it.
we ran into a friend. She's Ecuadorian.
We've known her for many years.
100% Ecuadorian, and she speaks English, been to the States, and they were robbed by 8 COVID masked men. 8 COVID masked men.
Her and the daughter.
This is notable because they were COVID masks. I mean, this is not something I'm just ad-libbing or saying. As she said, they had COVID masks on, and they had the caps and the glasses. You know, when I heard that from her, I said to myself, you know what, this is really strange, because for days and weeks, I had this lingering thought going on in my mind when I'm walking down the street and I'm seeing in these places where there's like Ecuador mandatory mask out in the street, which makes no sense from a health standpoint. By the way, this is all documented by doctors, so this is not just some guy blowing off steam and smoke of his opinionated guy on YouTube. When I speak, I always speak about confirmable facts from the medical community. So you can know that when you come on this channel, you're not just hearing opinions. You may not like them, but you know, that's what the facts are. Facts are something that can be verified and this kind of thing. So anyway, the thing that I was thinking about after we met this woman and her daughter was that it's funny, because for weeks I was thinking, watching these people with these masks on, and then some, you know, and then their glasses and their hats, and it's like, wow, this would be a great time to be a bank robber.
We talked about
This
it
would be a
one
great
day.
time to be a bank robber, because you could run out of the bank and you would just blend right in with your mask on and your glasses and your hat, you know. So, you know, this is nonsensical. This is unintended consequences of government interference in people's lives. And in a place where they have made it illegal for you to use a gun for self-defense, you know, they use knives. So you don't need guns. Criminals don't need guns. A criminal will use anything: a bat, a knife, a gun. But a citizen needs to defend himself, but he can't do it because he can't use a gun for self-defense. This was in her own home. By the way, this was not even at night. This was during the day, during almuerzo hour at 1:30, and there was 8 of them. So you can't defend against 8 people with knives.
It's in a really good area where Gringos live,
Okay,
neighborhood.
Okay, so
But it's an Ecuadorian wealthy, and the Gringos live there too.
figures. This is what's happening, and I know people are going to say, but there's robberies everywhere, blah, blah, blah. That's not the point of bringing this up. The point was that it's 8 COVID masked men.
A masked man pays for a drink, and as the clerk is taking the money, another man, also wearing a mask, joins him, and they both take out guns. The clerk moves back as they rob the place and flee. Today, he speaks to us on camera. How do you know with the masks on, he says. He echoes Santa Ana police reporting that robberies by masked suspects went up by 50% in April.
Prior to the virus, somebody walks in with a mask, the clerk's immediately alerted to what's going on.
But now everyone is wearing a mask. Fox 11 News obtained this video of a May 12th robbery at the ATM of the Comunidad Latina Federal Credit Union. This masked man walks up behind the victim not to stand in line but to rob him. Check out the large knife on the robber's hand as the scared victim flees. Bias Kawan had his gas station robbed on May 8th. Surveillance video shows different-looking suspects, but also armed and wearing masks, just like the suspects seen in security video in this April robbery at Christie's Donuts. So far, no one has been injured, but these are brazen robberies with armed suspects. Back at Kawan's store, they are trying everything from prohibiting hoods to closing overnight.
We're not surprised.
You know, it's almost like you wish people weren't wearing masks, but they have to. I mean, talk to me about it.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody walking and wearing a mask and a hoodie and all that, you don't know who's walking in. It's just totally like a manual of what a good robber, can get away with. We can't do nothing about it.
She also said 3 times, Cuenca is not the same as it used to be, she said.
Cuenca after COVID is
Changed.
not the same. The economy's worse, and the safety issue is still an issue. Back then there was the Venezuela thing going on, but now the COVID thing is actually creating an atmosphere of unsafety, because again, criminals can just blend in with these masks and you could, but
Well,
anyway,
she said a lot of people are without work and they will just rob you
a
now.
lot of
because
people are,
they're starving.
and that's the thing about the COVID thing, is that it's creating and causing more poverty. And I've mentioned this in other videos. It's causing people to go, because the restrictions on a lot of these businesses, they can't really afford it. A lot of these mom and pop businesses are just shoestring businesses. And you start putting all these restrictions on them and they have to close. And then a lot of the businesses, the big stores, aren't all that busy either, and they would have to lay off. I know people, like in the trucking business, where they're not really at the front of retail, they're in the middle. They should be busy, regardless of maybe these stores aren't too busy, but these are. They're the guys delivering stuff, so they should at least be busy, but they're not busy either. So the economy is doing really bad here. Ecuadorians are hurting, but it was notable that we ran into her and that she specifically said that the 8 masked robbers, they were Ecuadorians, she could tell. They were Ecuadorians, and they had COVID masks on. Anyway, what else is there to say? On a positive note, there are places in the world that they're not putting these restrictions on people, these medical tyranny restrictions that a lot of places have now. And their tourism is booming. I've got all the avocados I can eat. I love avocados. My bin's full of popcorn. More avocados. More. This is something that I was really missing in Poland. Avocados in North Europe or East Europe. That's not the thing. Now there's other things you can get there that are cheap, which I was really enjoying, which was berries. They had a lot of berries there at the time, but not avocados. They were way more expensive there. All right, thanks for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Yeah, honey, when I'm holding the camera, I need to be able to see so I can make sure your head is in the video. What are you doing, hon?
Just making some fresh butter.
Oh, making butter, all right. Oh, it's getting there. When it starts turning yellow, it's almost gonna be butter.